Hello, my name is Kathy. I'm from Ireland and I represent neurofibromatosis. I'm a patient myself, but I'm also an ambassador and chair of an organisation in Ireland. And neurofibromatosis is a neurological condition where tumours grow within the nervous system, and with that, it affects the body in a whole host of very different ways and manifestations.
Hello, my name is Lucía Feito Allonca and I have been living with type 1 diabetes for 33 years. I'm a patient representative and global advisor for the NCD Alliance in the Our Views, Our Voices initiative, and a Blue Circle Voice for the International Diabetes Federation representing Spain and the region of Europe.
Hello, my name is Joel Nelson. I'm from the UK and I represent the psoriasis, arthritis and mental health disease communities, and I work hard to use the power of peer support to build communities and spaces to help people get to the next appointment a little bit easier.
Hi, I'm Heather Mason. I am a patient representative. My son has Down syndrome, but I have also another hat. I'm a medical writer. But I really am focused on bringing the patient voice into the medical writing and inclusion. I do workshops on patient inclusion.
What I found challenging was I have background in pharmacy and I've changed my jobs now. So maybe I struggled with the information I was given and what I knew, and then been able to kind of argue with my brain what was right and what was wrong. But that's just my own personal reflection of I was being challenged on what I thought I knew to then being like, oh no, this is what actually it is. So that's where I struggled personally.
What I have found challenging about the program is that, it contains a lot of terminology that is quite scientific and complex. But at the same time, this challenge becomes an opportunity because it's a great learning opportunity and it raises the level of the advocacy that we can develop with these tools.
What I found challenging about the programme was I knew I was coming into this to fill a knowledge gap that I had as a patient advocate. I think what I probably wasn't prepared for was the different levels of knowledge in the cohort. So trying to, make the most of those opportunities where I could add something to make sure I put my hand up and contributed, but also not being too hard on myself if I had to go back to something and reread it because I was at a different level on another topic area.
I think what I found most challenging from the EUPATI training program was firstly juggling full-time work and being a carer as well. But also I reflect what Kathy said, that I thought I had quite a good background in clinical trials, and it's highlighted for me the gaps where the patient voice needs to be filled.
I come away from all of these things with the same amount of inspiration, is all the different stories, every single person's different path that have led them to this. What they've done in their own community and their own organisations gives me a fire to try and do it on my own. And if there's something I've struggled with, it's given me a connection and a network that I could then get that information on how to do it at home. And I just find every single person's story just so inspiring, and the fire in their belly is just amazing. It's really emotional. It really is.
Yes, what I found really valuable is the networking opportunity that it represents, and also that we learn from each other. We are walking this path not alone, but together. And in the richness of our different perspectives, we get to learn a lot. That's highly inspiring.
What I find inspiring about the programme is advocacy, and sometimes as well being a patient can be quite a lonely journey. You can feel like you're banging your head against a wall, and that maybe your voice, no matter how much you shout, doesn't actually reach the intended audience. And then you come to events like this and you're reminded that you are part of a really special community that does wonderful things, and there's lots of people in all corners of the earth that are trying to achieve the same mission, and it fills my cup up and empowers me for the next few months ahead.
What I find inspiring about the program really is to reflect what everybody else has already said, that it's a great network to have different perspectives from different patients. We have medics to get their perspective, we have pharmacists. And I think it's a really good program to move this movement forward, and I see great things for the patient perspective in everything to do with innovating medicines for the future.
I think what I find the most important about this for me is that we're finally being listened to give our voice. So you're giving us the tools to use our voice when we've been saying all the time, we're not being heard, but you're giving us the opportunity to sit with experts and giving us our voice to give our voice, if that makes sense. It's so important, and we're being acknowledged that we weren't being listened to before, and now we're finally being listened to on a global platform, which is the most important, and it's the only way to raise awareness. And I think that's what every single person in rare communities and in disease conditions anyway, is awareness is the most powerful tool, and you're giving us that opportunity and that voice. So I just want to thank you so much.
The impact of this program in just a word would be empowerment. Empowerment is a word that describes this program perfectly, because it empowers us patients and patients representatives with tools, with knowledge, and that knowledge translates into self-confidence that leads directly to change and improved outcomes, to driving real change. And that is what we ultimately achieve thanks to this empowerment. So thank you so much.
Lucy's taken the exact same word that I would have used. So instead of empowerment, if I had to use one word to describe the program, I think it would be equipped. It equips me to fill that knowledge gap that I had, to make sure I feel like a peer in the conversations I have, and to keep a seat at the table.
I think for me, EUPATI has been the catalyst that I needed for a deeper understanding from the patient perspective. I felt like I've been at a bit of a crossroads for medical writing, where I feel a lot of what I do isn't that patient-focused. And this has given me kind of a better understanding of where I can fill the gap that I want to fill, obviously with my medical writing hat, but also as a mum with a child with a disability, and how I fight for inclusion, and yet empowered me to kind of bring those two worlds together.
I would like to ask Heather a question. As you said, you're wearing multi hats. You're coming at it from a parent and a carer, but then you're also coming from a medical background. Has anything switched for you in regards of the knowledge you've learned? So you're not a parent here. You're not a carer. You don't have that drive and that passion and love that's there. Do you think that's grown for you then in the medical and professional sense, now that you've heard the voices of the unheard?
I think it's, for me, just highlighted the gap between, I say, the pharma or the drug development process and the patients. A lot of my work is in rare diseases, so I kind of understand a certain amount, but I think this has completely changed. It's just given me a much deeper understanding of there's still a big void between what's the drug development process and the patients. I think someone today in one of our groups said they're still not being invited to the table when it comes to their rare disease being taken account for in clinical trials. So there's much to be done still. Thank you.
I would like to ask you a question to the group, and how do you think this program, what's the immediate impact it's going to have on your work, your advocacy work, or what you do? What's the sort of the one takeaway you're going to put straight into action?
Well, first of all, I plan to recommend the course to every single patient advocate I know, because it's a great tool. As you were saying, it's a new tool for our toolbox, and in advocacy we need all of them, exactly all of them. As a person living with diabetes, health technology assessment comes really relevant. Why? Because we use technology to manage our diabetes. In my case, for example, I'm an insulin pump user. I use a continuous glucose monitor. So these technologies will be used by us every single day of our lives, when we are awake, when we are asleep, at all times. So it's important that patients do have a say in the evaluation on what's relevant for them for new technologies, if they are good enough. So it's something that we cannot dimension until we dive into this world. So it's a step I invite everyone to take.
And there's been a few people that I've also already wanted to connect with in regards of doing patient workshops and community events together with, because I work in the rare disease community, and I think even though like our worlds are far apart, there's so many crossovers of symptoms and the same feeling of feeling alone. And if we can just bring those communities together, regardless of the differences, we'll find we're not that different at all. And I think it's just about connection for me hugely, and just bridging that gap between people and realizing you have families everywhere else in the world, and that's what fills me up with pride and joy and passion to keep going.
That's so true, because we come from different disease areas. However, there are many things that we have in common. We all need to advocate for ourselves. We all need to put the voice of the patient and get a seat on the table, and not just as a listener or as a token guest, but as a co-creator. So there's so much that we have to do together, not to mention that many diseases are directly connected.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? How, not with my mum hat on, but with my medical writer hat on, what more can I do to make the documents that I produce, which is some regulatory, but also communications like publications, patient education leaflets? What more can I do for you?
The first thing that sprang to mind, I'm sure there's lots, but the first thing that sprang to mind was capturing that holistic impact of these diseases. The amount of times I've gone to an appointment over my lifetime and just been asked what hurts or where, when really, as a parent, I want people to ask me, how it's impacting my ability to do the things I want to do, how it changes with my life journey with the disease, how things that mattered to me when I was 18 are totally different to now I'm 40 with a child. So any way you can capture that holistic impact of our disease on everyday life would be amazing.
I kind of have something to kind of echo on what you said, that I think it's really important, especially when it comes to pediatric patients and they're on a regimen, whether it's whatever the regimen is and whatever the way they have to take it. I think it's really important for the family to be acknowledged in the process. Like, how is that going to affect their siblings? Are they going to have to go to the hospital with them? Are they going to be sitting in a waiting room all day while their sibling is getting infusion? Is the parent going to have to take time off work because it's a complicated administration? I think advice and support in that sense, even I know it's the PIL, the medical writing is so complicated and there's so many loops you have to go through, but I think it's still really important for the impact on a family member, how many it is, to be acknowledged when it comes to a regimen of medication, because it does impact them as well. As I learned in my own medical field, that especially when it comes to children, that it's not just one patient, you technically have 5 and possibly more. And I think for them to be acknowledged in the process of medication administration is really important.